Hey YouTube, this is Steve from Average Joe's Fantasy Football, and we've got your running back week 2 start and sit edition. This will be obviously again for PPR and half PPR. If it is standard league, this might adjust a little bit. Of course, ask us in the comments down below so that way we can help you guys with your starting lineup. Now, hopefully you guys came out victorious again out of week 1. There were a lot of injuries, a lot of, I would say, gameplay that wasn't as high as a performance you were hoping. But this is week 2. Things will change, some better matchups, and we'll kind of explain some good sits and obviously some sleepers for you. So these are your obvious running backs you should be starting this week. I added a few players in here that I thought would be a really good asset for you guys. I took a couple players away, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But these are guys I feel confident in their matchups and what they're going to be able to provide for you in week 2, again, in PPR. Now, as far as my first running back I have as a good start, it's going to be Josh Jacobs. Now, I mentioned him last week. He didn't perform as well. And really, the whole Raiders offense was not as good as everyone had hoped it was going to be besides Devontae Adams. But they are going against the Arizona Cardinals, who just gave up 42.5 points to the running back position. Also, they allowed 3 touchdowns to the running back, 2 by pass and 1 by rush. And I know Bolden has taken a few touches away from Josh Jacobs, but it's not enough to still sit Josh Jacobs quite yet. They haven't obviously introduced Zamir White to it. So really, Josh Jacobs, this is his backfield to perform, and he's in a good position to really do that against the Cardinals. Now, another running back I have as a good start is going to be Antonio Gibson. Gibson actually did a really good job this weekend. And this may change, obviously, in a few weeks when Brian Robinson comes back, but he looked really good. They're also going against the Lions, who are allowing 36.7 points to the running back, and they allowed 3 rushing touchdowns. Gibson was a PPR stud last week, and he led the backfield in touches. So again, not only is he getting receptions, McKissick really wasn't there. It actually was the Gibson show, which is great, and it's going against a defense that was not performing really well. So this is a really good opportunity for Antonio Gibson to do a phenomenal job, get you at least, I would say, 15 to 18 points, very similar like what he did last week. Now, the last guy I have as a good start, who I unfortunately did have as a sit last week, is Leonard Fournette. Leonard Fournette actually did a pretty good job against the Dallas Cowboys. That whole game just went a little bit differently than we had thought. We thought maybe Brady would throw a little bit more, and it was the complete opposite. Fournette actually is going against the Saints, who are allowing 25.3 points to the running back, and they allowed over 120 rushing yards last week. With Godwin being out and the O-line having some struggles pass blocking, I think this is where they're going to utilize Fournette to really kind of control the game and really use him to get you at least 100 yards, maybe a couple of receptions, and hopefully a goal line. So I do expect a really good performance out of Fournette, just because I think this passing offense has had its issues. So I do believe this is going to be a Fournette game again. Now, as far as a good sit options, some of these players are going to be guys you were like kind of surprised with, but the first guy I have is Alvin Kamara. Right now, he's dealing with a rib injury. He's again going against the Bucs, who actually did a really good job holding Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard. They only held them to 10 points combined as a fantasy, and then only 60 rushing yards total. So the fact that you're dealing with rib injuries, they're really relying and trusting on Jameis Winston's arm right now. And the way this game may play out, they could be behind, and obviously Winston's going to have to throw a little bit more. Now, Kamara could have some receptions, and that might change how you play him this week. And he may be your only really RB1. But if you have other options, I would take him out and not play him at all this week. Another guy I have is sitting in this week is Ezekiel Elliott. I had high hopes with him this season, but with the fact that Dak Prescott is now out due to injuries, that is absolutely going to affect Zeke heavily. Plus, on top of that, the Bengals actually did a really good job against the running back. They only allowed 11 points to Najee Harris. And again, this offensive line is struggling. You have a left tackle who's a rookie. The left guard got hurt last week. They're not gelling really well. And Pollard had the equal amount of touches as Ezekiel Elliott did. So realistically, this is a 1A, 1B scenario where Zeke is no longer the guy. So I'm not starting him this week. And the last guy I'm not starting this week, and I hate to say it because I like him a lot, is Najee Harris. Najee Harris going against the Patriots, who only gave up 43 rushing yards last week. And again, obviously game plans will, game script will change that. But Najee is also dealing with a leg injury, which is where I think might affect him. They may use him a little bit less. They say he's going to play. So I do expect Warren to get a little bit more touches just to help Najee stay healthy throughout the game, because they are going to need him obviously throughout the season. Now, again, as a PPR stance, he'll get a few receptions here or there, but I just don't see a lot of usage out of Najee this week unless he gets you maybe a goal line carry. And I hate to see you, obviously have an RB1 that you drafted in the first round sitting, But again, if you have better options, go with it. Do not start him this week. Now, as far as some sleepers go, the first guy I have is going to be Devin Singletary. Devin Singletary is going against the Titans, who are allowed 42.9 points to the running back position. They also allowed 7 receptions to the running back. And right now, Singletary looked really efficient in that backfield. They weren't obviously used heavily. I mean, they used obviously a committee. Zach Moss had a lot of receptions in that backfield, but Singletary was the more efficient back. So I could see both being pretty successful this week. I like Singletary a little bit better as a true runner. Again, a couple receptions here or there, but right now it's Zach Moss and Singletary. Cook didn't look really good in his lineup. I had that fumble. So I like Singletary as a good sleeper this week. Maybe a good little flex play. David Montgomery is my other sleeper I have this week going against the Packers. Now, Packers are a pretty good run defense. They did allow over 120 rushing yards and 4.5 yards per carry, which is actually pretty high. It's one of the near top. So the fact that the running back was pretty efficient does give me some hope with David Montgomery. And Monty's points last week were kind of one of those games where that whole aspect was just the weather played a big factor. The offense is obviously a little bit of a struggle, but David Montgomery's done a pretty good job. He's averaged about 13 to 14 points in fantasy against Green Bay every single game. So again, you're at least getting someone consistent. And that's if you add a couple of touchdowns here or there, he's going to get you closer to 15 to 20 points. So again, as a flex play, David Montgomery's a really good sleeper for you guys this week. So those are my running back start, sits, and sleepers for week 2. Again, if you do have questions of who you should be starting, hit us up in the comments down below. We'll be able to answer every question you guys have. Or, of course, you can follow us on our socials. We're on Twitter and Instagram. If you have not already, make sure you hit that subscribe button and that notification bell is on. That way you guys are notified every time we drop a video just like this. Of course, if you enjoyed the content, hit the like button. It is greatly appreciated. If you guys do have other questions, again, hit us up in the comments. Make sure you check out our other start sit videos. Make sure you check out our waivers. They probably already hit already, but check out some of those players that are still available, and keep following us on Twitter and Instagram. We'll update you with any injuries that might occur. We do have a game Thursday, remember that, and 2 Monday night games. So again, a little crazy week, but it's going to be a fun one. So I look forward to hearing from you guys, and I'll check you guys next time.